Welcome to another edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, the series that takes a critical look at Scripture, pointing out its numerous errors, contradictions, and fallacies. This program teaches a kind of Sunday school in reverse by giving you the biblical information that you should have heard but didn't. With millions of Americans hearing a totally one-sided presentation of the Bible, balance is greatly needed. Only when people are given both sides of an issue can a truly objective analysis be possible. And here to provide the alternative perspective is the editor of Biblical Errancy newsletter, Mr. Dennis McKenzie.
Welcome to the 28th edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary. We're pleased you've joined us. A second major scientific area in which the Bible fails miserably, besides having mathematical errors such as those discussed in our prior program, concerns a large number of statements that are patently false from a strictly scientific perspective. Many times the Bible makes statements that have little or nothing to do with reality or scientific truth. Some of the most obvious are the following. First, Leviticus 11:13 to 19 says, quote, "These are they which you shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. The eagle and the ossifrage and the osprey and many other birds I won't list, and the bat," unquote. The final name in a long list of birds is a bat. And any first-year zoology student knows that the bat is not a bird, it's a mammal. Second, Leviticus 11:20 to 21 says, quote, "All fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination to you," unquote. Who ever heard of four-legged fowl? Third, Leviticus 11:22 to 23 says, quote, "Even these you may eat, the locust and the beetle and the grasshopper, but all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination to you," unquote. Who ever heard of four-legged insects? In fact, who ever heard of any four-legged creeping things that fly? Fourth, Leviticus 11:6 says, quote, "And the hare because he chews the cud," unquote. Hares never have and never will chew the cud. They're not ruminants like cattle. Fifth, Deuteronomy 14:7 says, quote, "As the camel and the hare and the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof," unquote. Hoof isn't even a correct term to use for a hare's foot. But far more importantly, unlike the camel, the hare does divide the foot. 6. Genesis 19:26 says, quote, "Lot's wife looked back and she became a pillar of salt," unquote. To say that this miracle, as well as all other supernatural biblical events, violates the most fundamental laws of science is to state the obvious. All miracles, and the Bible abounds in same, are anti-scientific. A miracle is by definition a supernatural or a non-natural event. In reality, it's a complete fiction, not an event at all. Seventh, Genesis 37 to 39 describes an absurd happening in which some cattle gave birth to some striped calves because the parents looked at some striped rods. Affairs of this nature are almost too childish to discuss, and wouldn't be even given a hearing if it weren't for the large number of people who adhere to a book in which they're given credibility. Eighth, 2 Peter 3:5 says the earth was formed out of water and by means of water. How you create land out of water is something of a mystery. Ninth, according to 1 Samuel 2:8 in the 38th chapter of Job, the earth rests on pillars and has foundations. That reminds me of the mythology of Eastern religions. 10th, Joshua 10:13 and Habakkuk 3:11 say, the sun stood still and the moon stayed, while 2 Kings 20:11 says the sun went backward 10 degrees on the sundial. If these events had actually occurred, because the Earth stopped rotating at its normal speed of 1,000 miles per hour, the results would have been incalculable. Imagine what would have happened if the tremendous centrifugal force of this planet's rotation had vanished. Havoc would have reigned supreme. 11th, according to Genesis 11:6-9, all of the languages of the earth appeared in one fell swoop, rather than emerging from a long, slow process of evolution, as is alleged by science. 12. John 12:24 says, quote, except a corn of wheat fall to the ground and die, it abides alone. But if it die, it brings forth much fruit. How could something that has died bring forth anything? 13th, Isaiah 11:12 says, quote, he shall gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth, unquote. With a verse like this, as well as Deuteronomy 13:7, Deuteronomy 28:64, 1 Samuel 2:10, and Joel